Hey, what's happening? Welcome everybody to After the Shame. My name is Scott. I'm an alcoholic. After the Shame is a recovery-based show. We talk about, well, it's for anybody who feels like they may have a problem, anybody in recovery, family and friends of people that are in recovery, or friends of people that are addicts, or anybody it's really affected in your life. Here we just basically talk about some subject that recovering people go through and addicts go through, and it's an open forum. So there's a live chat. You can chat with me, ask questions, anything that I say, if you want me to clarify anything, or if you have any questions in general. Really, there's no specific audience for it. If you enjoy, learning about something that is affecting, millions of people around you and people you care and love about, or maybe even yourself, then you are certainly welcome here. As I mentioned before, my name is Scott and I'm an alcoholic. How is everybody doing? Good to see everybody here. Looks like we got quite a few people already showing up. Jeff Lawson, what's happening? Charles McLaren, good to see you. Mr. Woodtick Mike, good to see you, man. Jesse Hedrick, what's our Jesse? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Spring Vaping Girl, Todd Black, Mighty Zogberg, Sean Roberts, Minnesota Clouds, Mr. Pebble. And that is a bunch of chat. That's about all the people I see in there right now. All right, everybody. So, I mentioned yesterday about the topics I was going to talk about today. And I wanted to stay away from gratitude. And not because I don't think gratitude is important, but because it seems like every time I talk about or do a recovery show, I talk about gratitude. And quite frankly, it's that important to me. It's one of the biggest things in my life that keeps me focused and keeps me humble and keeps me sober, is the gratitude I have in my life. But I do think that it is important to talk about other subjects. So I was thinking today, what did I want to talk about? Hey, Loki, how you doing, man? Good to see you. I think I saw Daytime Frank. What's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Good to see you. One thing I want to talk about, and something I was thinking about today, is so it's kind of a complex question. One, part of it is, why did I turn into an alcoholic? And the other part of that is, was it something that like I was, destined to do? Was it something in my DNA or something in my makeup that led me to be that? Or was it a decision, or a constant decision that I made that brought me to a certain point? Let me explain. I don't think addiction is a decision. Now anybody who's an addict will tell you this. It's not a decision. I had no decision-making power whatsoever about it. Hey, Leno, how you doing? Wheeler, good to see you. But what I want to say is, was it a series of decisions that I made that led me down the road to become an addict? So prior to becoming an addict, were there decisions that I made, or was it more like a destiny type thing? And quite frankly, I think it's kind of part of both. I really do. I think that people are predisposed to addiction. And what I mean by that is, I think there's certain environmental circumstances that cause it. I'll explain. I think that there's certain mental capacity, or not mental capacity, but not so much mental illness, but mental issues that can cause you to become more susceptible to becoming an addict. And I think that also the way that you learn to deal with things as an adolescent through your family also can most certainly become reasons why you become an addict. So let's start with environmental. Environmental played a lot into my addiction. I had a couple things with that. One, I grew up in a very, like, the friends and the people that I hung around were kind of the crowd that, the drinking crowd, the partying crowd, and I wanted to fit in, and I enjoyed hanging out with them, so I wanted to be a part of that. And I wanted to be accepted, and I was blessed and cursed with a very high tolerance to alcohol. And even though I was only about 5'10", maybe 165 pounds, not a big guy, I could outdrink all the big guys. I just could. And it was because my body, my chemistry in my body could process alcohol quicker than other people could. And it would allow me to continue to consume alcohol without becoming like overly drunk or throwing up. My cutoff was much, much higher. So I gained a reputation early in my mid-teens to being a big drinker. And we would go to parties and people we didn't know, and they'd be like, well, you got to see Scott can drink, you know, this guy can really put it away. So I was always had that reputation, as you can say. And, you know, I've heard somebody say, hey, Jess, how are you? I've heard somebody say before, you know, high tolerance is really the Achilles heel of an alcoholic. And it really is. It really was for me. It rang true because it led me into this where I saw part of my personality and part of my who I was as a big drinker. And I carried that reputation with me from the environment in high school where we partied a lot to university or to college where, you know, that was where I went to college. That was all there was to do, you know, party, drink, drugs. That was it. Like we went to class, we worked, and then we partied, and that was it. Like that was like, you know, that was like our situation where I wouldn't want to do that, where that didn't sound fun to me or not something I wanted to do. And I can remember thinking of I knew that I was different from other people in that respect who weren't alcoholics, who weren't addicts, because they could be like, well, you know, I don't think I'm going to go, or I don't think I'm going to drink. I'm like, what? You don't think you're going to, what the fuck do you mean you're not going to drink? Like how, like that sounds like no fun at all. Like, why would you go if you're not going to drink? I just don't feel like drinking tonight. Don't feel like it. Are you fucking kidding me? Like my brain, and legitimately, I'm not putting you on. Like my brain cannot figure that out. So yeah, so the environment of, you know, college and then moving into my, you know, work life, professional life where I'd never changed. I stayed that way. Like weekends and after work was for partying. You know what I mean? That's what I did. And, you know, as other adults, people my age started, you know, moving away from that, I never did. I was like, I still want to do this. I want to drink like I'm 20 years old. And I was, again, blessed with a tolerance where I could do that and get up the next day at 6 a.m. and go back to work. So I think environment plays a lot into what kind of you know, where you go with your addiction. If you're predisposed. So here's the other part of the being predisposed. There's a study that was done, and I'm not trying to be like a study guy, but this always rings in the back of my head that boys of alcoholic fathers are like, it's like legitimately like 70% more likely to become an addict. And that statistic's so staggering that there has to be something behind it. You know what I mean? And I think there's a couple things about it. One, I think that you're you know, a lot of things in your adolescence you learn from your parents, and like seeing how your parents and your dad acts and things like that, you know, that's kind of what you pick up. My dad wasn't a big drinker by any means. Like I think he might have had a problem with it before, because there were certain things that were said in my household that like kind of keyed me in that something was wrong. My dad drank and my mom didn't like it. And but my mom was very sensitive to it, because everybody in my mom's family was alcoholics except for her. You know, so she was like kind of sensitive to it. But he never drank in front of me, so that wasn't my excuse. But I think that the other part of that is, so, you know, the growing up and being predisposed with your parents and things like that, and how that affects you. But I also think that if you're say you have maybe some sort of like depression or bipolar or something like that, you know, some sort of mental illness that is untreated. And I think that also makes you more predisposed to be an alcoholic, because we self-medicate. And when you get to a point in like depression or, you know, you're bipolar, where you can't control it and it's just agonizing, you're going to look for something to, you know, you're going to scratch that itch. You're going to try to find something that you can take that is going to calm you down or put you back into a way, you know, to deal with reality and things going on. So there's two things, you know, environmental and then mental illness and adolescence and growing up and things like that. So a lot of things play into that. So I wrote down a whole list of things that I kind of thought that went in with that. And one being peer pressure. And I know peer pressure kind of gets a bad, you know, a lot of addicts, like, and especially like you kind of hear peer pressure and you kind of scoff at it, like, are you fucking kidding me? It wasn't, you know, that person didn't make me do this, or person didn't make me put a needle in my arm and shit like that. But I think that maybe not peer pressure so much as the conditioning of the type of environment that you're in. And I think that really plays a part in addiction for people, that you become, you know, if you constantly, you know, for me, I've never, you know, I have never really been around people that put needles in their arm, quite frankly. Like, I've never been in that kind of addiction where I was in that situation. But if you were constantly around that, you would become desensitized to it. And it would become more acceptable to you. And that way, maybe not so much peer pressure, but another, again, like a situational thing where you think, well, they're all doing it. You know what I mean? So it can't be that bad, right? They're all living and doing it, and I see everybody doing it constantly. Well, maybe I should do it too. So that's another part of it. So yeah, so that was one of the things I want to talk about. Like, why do people become alcoholics? So for me, it wasn't so much that I, you know, took my drink and I was like hooked. That's not how it was for me at all. But what as I kind of mentioned before, it was like a series of situations that, like, I kept drinking. Like, I would drink in every opportunity I had until I became physically and mentally, you know, addicted to it, and I couldn't get away from it. Where, to the point where at the end it was like that's all I could think about. It was like OCD. Like, I obsessed about it constantly, and I couldn't. Like, the thought of not having it in my life was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Like, first off, it was like, how am I gonna, you know, survive this fucking absolute 1000% anxiety that I have all the time? You know what I mean? How am I going to survive that? And then secondly, it's like, what am I going to do if I don't drink? Like, what else is there to do? There's nothing else for me to do. It's boring. You know, this sucks. Like, my life sucks. Why would I want to do that? And the whole thing about it was, my life didn't suck. My life was fantastic. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, it didn't feel that way to me. Like, I couldn't wrap my head around that my life was that good. And I think that's true, Jess. Like, it becomes, you know, it really does become part, you know, what you do to kind of mask the other. Because, and especially, you know, for a lot of people, and if you grow up in certain areas, and I don't know, you know, I'm not trying to say where people grow up, but like where I grew up, like blue collar, like you didn't like go to a psychiatrist. Are you fucking crazy? Like, why would you do that? You ain't crazy. Like, you ain't robbing places butt naked. That's what crazy people do. You're just a dude. There ain't nothing wrong with you. Like, you know, that was kind of our mentality. And I don't know if that's changed. I think that's more changed with the kind of oncoming generations where they look at mental illness maybe a little bit different than we did. But, like, you know, a guy, like, you didn't fucking go and, like, see a psychiatrist for something. You know what I mean? Like, that was really taboo. So, you know, stuff like that wouldn't get treated. And if it's not treated, then, I mean, there's a lot of things that could, you know, a lot of negative things. Because certainly you're going to come to a breaking point. And especially if you find something that can kind of subside that, you're going to use it no matter what. You know what I mean? So I think that, I think it really, it's just a kind of one of those things that goes hand in hand with mental illness. Hey, Cows Brian, how you doing? Dark Side. Thanks for joining, guys. Yeah, and so that's another thing too, where we kind of, people who don't have any sort of mental illness or addiction or anything are very dismissive about how somebody who does have it, and it's a tough thing for somebody who doesn't deal with it. It's a tough thing because they don't understand, and it's kind of like, you know, you can't explain it to somebody. You can't explain addiction to someone who doesn't understand it. They just don't, and it's not that they're wrong about it. You know, I mean, I guess they are wrong about it in the sense of somebody who knows how to what it is and has dealt with it. But you really can't hold that against them. I think that's wrong to like hold them, you know, make them feel or get mad at them because they don't understand it. You know, a lot of people think that you can just like, you know, you see all the time where, you know, parents are so desperate to like help a child that they want to put him in a rehab and thinking that if they put him or her into a rehab, it's going to solve it. It doesn't solve anything. It doesn't solve anything. Rehab doesn't do anything if you don't go in and put the work in. It doesn't do anything. Maybe it'll clean you up, give you an oil change. You know what I mean? Those who are addicts know what an oil change is. But that's about it. You come right back out and start using it again, get high as fuck. But it doesn't, you know, going to rehab isn't the solution. And, you know, you see these shows like Intervention and stuff like that, and they're like all cheering because the person's like going to rehab. It's like, dude, they don't want to go. Like, they're not gonna get fucking sober. And then, you know, the funny thing about it, if you ever watch Intervention, they do like 3 years later, they'll like talk to a guy and be like, how are you doing? Oh my God, you're sober. You went to rehab. And they look like shit. And you're like, they're still using. They're still fucking using. You know what I mean? You kind of know they are. It's like they're full of shit. But they're better at hiding it maybe than they were before. Hey, Tyler, how you doing, man? And that's the thing is like when and Brian makes a good point. He said a perfect life, and I really did too. Absolutely, I had no reason to go drink. Like there was nothing in my life. My life was fantastic. My life's fantastic now that I don't drink, and it's the same life. It's just minus the alcohol. I think that it wasn't so much. It wasn't that I was constantly looking for an excuse to drink. Constantly looking for an excuse to drink. Any excuse. I got, oh, I'm stressed at work. Oh, I'm not stressed at work. Oh, I'm stressed about this. Oh, this person was a dick. Like any reason I could possibly think of, to the point where I just stopped looking for reasons. I just didn't care. Hey, James Rivera, how you doing? Matt, how you doing, man? Good to see you. To the point where I just stopped looking for reasons. I was just like, fuck it. I'm just going to do it because I want to do it, and that's the way it is. And that's the way it got at the end. But for the longest time, I would make excuses, any excuse I could possibly think of to go out and drink. I did. And none of them were worth a pinch of shit. None of them were. They were all just bullshit, because we're great. Addicts are great at justifying things. We're great at justifying things. And we're also great at blaming other people. We're also great at not taking responsibility for our actions. And like everything is everybody else's fault. And, for example, I got my license taken away, or I lost my job. Like that's guy at work's a dick, fired me because he's the dickhead. I lost my license because some bullshit cop. No, you lost your license because you drank a pint of gin and then you're driving 85 miles an hour in 25 mile an hour zone, fucking hammered. That's why you lost your license. You lost your job because you were drunk at work. That's why you lost your job. You smell like alcohol and people are sick of you if you don't do your fucking job. That's why. But no, we'll make excuses that it wasn't our fault and things like that to allow us to continue to take actions and do the things we want to do that, that we know in the back of our mind, because there's no addict who doesn't in the back of their mind know, but you allow this illusion of awareness, like where you act like you're aware about things, but you're not. Like you're trying to be like, you're self-aware enough to know that you're fucking doing it to yourself, but you're in this illusion that you won't allow yourself to really think that. You know what I mean? You're gonna fucking put it on everybody else. So. Yeah. Yeah. I'll say that is a pint of gin sounds awesome, but not if you have to drive. Let me tell you, dude, the gin, there's okay. For like anybody who knows anything about alcohols, different alcohols give you a different effect, and gin is one of the worst. Gin for me, like a gin night, was ending up butt naked with a shotgun in my room, in my house somewhere. I was taking all my clothes off for no apparent reason, and I was going to grab a firearm for no reason and just go around the house, the firearm. It was going to end up 3 a.m. I was nude with a gun, walking around my house. That gin was awful. Gin is awful. Anybody who drinks gin is fucking awful. That's dangerous, man. And you know what's funny, Jess? So, like, I'll say this. The stereotype of somebody saying they're a crackhead has a very, very bad stereotype. And, I think what you picture from media is you picture a person, with white lips or burnt lips. And you picture somebody, maybe like the character that Dave Chappelle played that is just like walking all pigeon-toed because their feet are all fucked up. And, that's what you picture. But really, quite frankly, a crack addict, it just anybody like you or me. Like, that's what a crack addict is. It is, that getting addicted to something like that or using something like that just kind of progresses into that. You know what I mean? So accepting that, that you are that and able to say that and not, like, shy your head, that's, like, the key to getting better, in my opinion. So you're like, yeah, fuck, I was a crackhead. Fucking smoke crack. And I never really got, I never got into it just because I'll be honest. Like, it wasn't that I didn't want to do stuff like that. I was too cheap. That was what saved me from getting into like narcotics, quite frankly. That's what saved me ultimately from getting, because there was a lot of things that I really, really liked, but I was just too cheap. I was too cheap to pay for them. And that saved me from getting into a lot of narcotics. Like, that's all alcoholics are, cheap addicts. That's all we really are. We just don't want to pay for the fucking other shit. Hey, Ryan Poole, how you doing, man? Naked in arms, and that's why people paid for my dope. Yeah, and you know, and hey, that's another thing about. I'll tell you this: when I first got out of rehab, you know, I'd been vaping for about 1.5 years before I went in. After I got out, I started getting more into it because I told you guys, I started getting, you know, more into building and things like that. But I went on a spree where I spent a lot of money. Not like a lot, not like, you know, $5,000, but I spent over $1,000 on vape gear. That's not something I ever do. And it was just like I was looking for something to replace the addiction that I had, and I had to like check myself. I had to check myself to not do that. And like to the point now where it's like I don't buy anything. I bought the Topside Dual, and that, well, I buy stuff for review. I buy stuff for review out of the Patreon money, and then I end up giving that stuff away. But you know, I have to like check myself, like, because I can get into a bad habit with anything, because I can become an addict to anything, you know. It's just, that's how my brain works. Like, I can't just half-ass, and I talk about this all the time. I can't just half-ass something. I can't. My brain does not work that way. Yeah, I have to do it 100%. Like, if I'm going to be a high-end mod guy, like if I wanted to be that, and I really like, I do like high-end mods, I do. But if I was going to be that, like, I would have to be the high-end mod guy. I couldn't just be a high-end mod guy. I would have to have like, oh, he's got this. Like, I can't, so I can't do it. You know what I mean? My brain does not work that way. And I would spend a lot of money, and I can't do that. I'm too old. I got to save for retirement. I'm going to fucking be, you know, I got to retire soon, guys. You know, got to save money. You know, and it does, Big G. I mean, it does allow you to, you know, I think that it's certainly a much healthier option. Somebody asked me one time, you know, is building like a co-addiction, and it's like, yeah, it may be, but I'm okay with it because it's not gonna fucking kill me. And you know, but I think as you know, when you first stop using or drinking, you've got to find something to fill that void, because it's really like losing a friend. And depending on how long you do it, it's kind of like losing your best friend. People make that analogy, and it sounds kind of corny, but it's fucking true. It's fucking true, man. And for me, it was like I was losing a huge part of who I am and who I saw myself as, who I identified myself as, you know, part of my personality, how I dealt with like 99% of the things in my life, gone. And I think at the beginning, for me, I had to find something else to replace it. But I think you need to, you know, you need to, in your mind, you need to know that. And you need to be able to identify that this is what I'm doing and try to not manage it so much, but just be aware of it. And know that you can't do that forever, that you're going to have to learn to find other skills to deal with things in your life differently. Because the way you were dealing with them before wasn't working. What's up, Spork Live? How you doing, Giz? Good to see you. I don't know, are you guys all, hey, Giz, are you going to Toledo? I hope so. A lot of people don't take the steps like counseling and a support system, and they fall back into bad habits. And that's something we talked about. James, we talked about that last week, or 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, when I did my last show, was continued counseling, continued care after leaving a rehab facility, and how important day 30 through 90 is. It's the most important time of recovery. It's the most important time. It really is. The first 30 days are tough, physically tough. 30 through 90 are mentally exhausting, and you've got to get a program to go with it. Because if you don't, man, it's going to be hard to make it. It's going to be really fucking hard. Not saying you can't, but it's going to be hard. The Ohio players may not be there, guys. Are they dead? Are they still alive, the Ohio players? I hope not. They were fantastic. No, I'll be there. I'm going on Saturday. And that's another thing we talk about. Like Joseph mentions marijuana. You know, I don't have any problem with people smoking marijuana. I don't have any problem with people drinking. I really don't. And I think in certain situations, marijuana is a very useful substance. If it's used, for how people want to use it. But I do think that you can become maybe not a physical addict of it, but certainly a mental addict where you feel like you need it all the time. It's certainly not going to kill you. You know what I mean? Like fucking alcohol or opiates or benzos will. But like for me, I can't do it. I can't smoke marijuana because if I did, like I said before, I would have to know everything about it. I would have to have every kind. I would have to have the best. I would have to have. I can't just half-ass it. I can't just hit a joint and pass it back. I have to know. I have to have everything. Everything. Like that's how my brain works. So I just don't allow myself to do it. And I also think I've lost the privilege of allowing my mind to be clouded by other things because that will lead me to another bad decision. And I make enough bad decisions on my own. I don't have I'm not responsible enough, and I don't have the privilege of being able to do that, of allowing my brain to let me go down another path because I'm not well. I'm not well enough to do that. So that's why I don't do it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I know a lot of people in recovery do use it. And I think if you can use it in a positive manner, I don't have any problem with it at all. You can't just have one bong. I can stop whenever I want, but never stop. That and that again is that whole mindset of I just do it because I want to do it. Blah blah blah. Nah, you're using it because you're dealing with something else that you're trying to mask it with this, and you're an addict. And it's so funny when people say I can stop anytime. Okay, no, you can't. Don't bullshit me. Like, I know you can't because I know exactly how you feel. Like, I can look, you're not unique. I know how you feel, and I know you can't. Yeah. What's up, Past the Dirt Road? How you doing, man? Congratulations, 2017. Congratulations, man. Good for you, brother. Been clean since November of 2011. You know what's funny? Not funny, but what's crazy is my first time in rehab was 2009, and I made it till November of 2011 is when I started drinking again. It's fucking crazy. I dropped off and you jumped on, man. So, at least one good thing happened, right? Joseph used to go on rants when drinking. Yeah, I'll tell you, drinking and lives don't mix. They don't mix. Because you can't take back the shit that comes out of your mouth. And, when you're drinking, you might say something. You might not even mean it. You might just say something, but I've seen people get themselves in trouble doing that. Call somebody like a bitch or something and be like, oops. You know what I mean? Because people take that shit personally. I don't like that. That's a good point. So, here's something Eric brought up that he thinks about it every day. And Eric, quite frankly, I don't think that's unhealthy. And I'll tell you this, I certainly know it's not against the norm. Because part of me still feels a sort of comfort in the thought of being a hermit alcoholic. There's a part of my brain that jumps in every once in a while, probably pretty frequently, that thinks, if things were to go, if the world was to go to shit, my world was to go to shit, I could still fall back on alcohol. That's how my fucked up brain works. And become a hermit, just to shut in drinking all the time. That's all I would do. And and what wakes me up is how miserable I know that is, because I've been there and I know how miserable it is, and I don't want that. But part of me still thinks that. And, it's something that I have to deal with daily and just, basically remind myself of how fucking awful it was. Congratulations, Ryan. The higher power thing, everybody gets sober their own way, Ryan. Everybody gets sober their own way. I believe in a higher power. I'll tell you, and I'll be on, like, the whole thing for me was I couldn't do it on my own. I couldn't. I tried, man. I tried all the time. I tried and I would try, and then by 7:30, I'd be drinking again. In the morning, I'd be drinking again. Every morning I wake up and be like, I'm not going to drink today. By 7:30, I'd have a beer cracked, getting in, sometimes earlier, And so I couldn't do it on my own. I had to ask, my higher power to come down, and and I believe in God, and I asked God to help me, and he helped me. And he or she or whoever God is, helped me out. And I believe that in my heart. I know that he did because I felt it. And if I'm full, and that's the whole thing. Well, what if there's no God? Well, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you then. Because maybe I tricked myself into thinking that, but I believe it. So. Hey, how you doing, Alter Ego? Good to see you, man. Hello from Russia. Scott, what legislation is the United States at the expense of marijuana? In Russia, for the illegal smoking of marijuana, I can get up to 5 years in prison. So they've decriminalized it, Alter Ego, here in America, for the most part. It's legal to sell recreationally in a lot of states. Recreationally meaning if you're of age, you can go in and buy some marijuana. Most states are legal medically because they do find medical benefit for it, and it's a state-by-state basis. So it's kind of changing. There's been some really great things that have happened in some states that have opened it up recreationally, where they say that a lot of crime and things have gone down, and like the statistics, basically, the fear of doing it, where certain statistics were going to go up, crime and abuse and things like that, but they've actually kind of went the other way. So they're looking at it a little bit differently. I think other states are to say, well, maybe this isn't such a bad thing. So you're not going to go to jail for marijuana unless you're caught with distribution of marijuana, which is still illegal. And quite frankly, you shouldn't be distributing out marijuana. You know what I mean? You should go to, if you're going to smoke marijuana, even in a state where it's not legal, you should not be distributing it. You know what I mean? Stay under the felony amount, which I think the felony amount in Ohio is, I want to say it's like 2.5 pounds, quarter pound. I think it's under. Under that, you're good. Unless you have like 5 ounces. Excuse me. Unless you have like 3 ounces and you have it all split up into like, bags for distribution, then they'll get you. So. Yeah, so past the dirt road. My buddy lives in Denver. My buddy lives out there, and he's an alcoholic too, but he won't get help, and he smokes a lot of pot, and it's helped him. It's helped him because he substituted it for alcohol, and it's not obviously not a solution, but it's better than drinking all the time. I mean, better on your body. You can still maintain a job and do what you got to do. You know what I mean? You're good with weight, Scott. No, I'm not. Yeah, and so that's another thing. So talking about dealing with loss and dealing with things like that when through addiction and through recovery, that's something I haven't had to do. I lost my mom, and but I was drinking then, something I really regret. And my dad's about that age where I'm gonna, but I think that I deal with things a little differently now that I'm sober. I think I prepare myself a little bit more now. A sudden death, there's certain things that I can't say that I would make it through. One of my kids, it'd be tough. It would be tough. One of the kids went, it would be tough. And that's where you need like a network of people that can help you. That can help you. Like I would come to the community and be like, I just need help. You know what I mean? And I would come to this community and be like, I need help. And I think that being able to ask for help is something that's hard for men to do. But you got to drop the ego. There's no ego in recovery. There can't be. You know what I mean? You've got to drop all that shit. And you've got to just step up and be like, I need fucking help. Because saying you don't need help, or I can do this on my own, that's just a cop out. That you're holding a reservation to know you're going to do it again. Quite frankly, that's what that is. Hospital visits in Denver for marijuana went up in recent months. Matt, I wonder if that's from edible. You know, there's a real edibles are you know are can be kind of shifty. You know, especially when they're using like an oil-based marijuana in the ingredient, you don't know how evenly it's just distributed through the product, so it can be a little bit. You know, you never know how much you're actually ingesting. And yeah, anybody who's ate marijuana before, which I have, it's a different buzz. It's a different buzz. It's a trippy buzz. Yep. Yeah, and you know, the promises you make to other people, Matt. You know, he says here that I made a promise to my girlfriend's 32-year-old sister that I would get clean when she was deteriorating in condition after a stroke. Never want to let her down. Yeah, that's a big one. And I have a promise that I made to my wife. It's a big one for me. Yeah, that keeps me focused. Anything that can keep you focused, anything that you can use for leverage against your addiction is beautiful, no matter what it is. You know, it could be anything. It could be your fucking dog. It doesn't matter. You know, as long as it works for you. Hey, Focus Evo, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining, brother. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. Buffering? That's not me. Not me, Ian. I'm my stream looks good. My stream looks good. From here. From the control panel. Hey, Bachelor, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Hey, Clint. Let's see, did I touch on everything? I made a list of stuff here that I wanted to talk about. And I think I touched on everything. I didn't have that long of a list because I kind of want to do interactive, more interactive than I had previously. I think that's more how I want the show to be, a interaction between you and I. Instead of me just sitting here preaching about stuff. People get, the sun is blaring through my eyes. The sun's bad, isn't it? Yeah, I kind of thought about that after I put that up there. Yeah, that sun's kind of bright. I love that picture, though. I love the picture for the tile. I think it looks really good. Good, Clint. Hey, Megan, how you doing, hon? Good to see you. You know, I think one thing that drives me nuts and infuriates me is how I think one of the biggest steps that can be taken maybe in the generations to come is to taking away the negative connotation and stereotypes of addiction. And I think that is the whole point of what I do. That's the whole point of what Yeti and I did, was after the shame, drop the shame of being an addict. That's the most important thing, because that's the shame that keeps you sick. Just admit what you are, like Jess saying, you know, she was a crackhead. Just admit it. That's what I am. Oh, well. You know, this is what I got to deal with. This is what I did, and this is how I'm going to get out of it. But, you know, even if people label you, but don't allow the label to be something that, you know, keeps you in that type of mindset where, you know, you just say, you know, this is the way I was, I'm not that way anymore, and move on. Ah, you're welcome, dude. You're welcome, Dirt Road. No problem, man. I like doing it. It helps me. Like, you know, I do this, and, you know, I hope it benefits people, but it benefits me a lot. It benefits me a lot. So, you know, there are my own self-motivations, admittingly, that this does for me. That really helps me in my recovery. Hey, James. Mad Max, what's up, dude? You know, Dustin, and that's the thing, is like, I don't do it for views. I don't do it for views. Nobody watches it. My lowest shows are these shows. Like, nah, it's not for views. You know, it's a very, even though in this community there are A lot of people dealing with addiction, a lot of people in recovery. It's still a small percentage of it. Thank God it's a small percentage. But it's for you guys. Us. Plus, I feel more comfortable. I feel comfortable in front of this audience. I really, really do. Because it's, you know, it's something that there's a brotherhood in it that that at least I feel with other people, other addicts, other alcoholics. There's a brotherhood in it that you kind of got each other's back in a way. And, you know, there's a comfort in talking to someone that has a problem like addiction that you have, obviously. And there's a comfort in it because it's like, you know, there's nothing you can say that's going to fuck them up. Or they're going to be like, well, I look at you differently because they know where you're coming from. That's a lot more than some shows. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that is more than some. Pretty true, Dustin. Yeah, not bad. You know, it's funny because I used to get more. I was at a time when I was going like 70, 80 views a show. For a one-man show, it's pretty fucking good. And when I stopped getting rid of team free shit, it kind of went down. That's okay. It's better quality than quantity, right? Hey, Ray, how you doing, man? Tommy Vapor's a crack smoker. Not cocaine crack. He's a butt crack smoker. Yeah, team free shit is... Team free shit can ruin a fucking channel, man. You gotta be careful. They can ruin a fucking channel, man. Because, you know, it's the worst when you have giveaways and all, like, the people, like, everybody here's people who watch me all the time. And it's like, that's the people you want to win, the people that are with you all the time. The kids when you come in, like, nobody knows them. They're like, hey! Fucking win. You're like, what the fuck? But, you know, it is what it is. Tony, how you doing, man? So I'm going to shut this down here in about 10 minutes, and then we have a waffle giveaway on the Facebook page. So if you want to jump in there, and it's already ready to go. So the waffle is for the L Thunder 21700 mod, plus a bunch of other shit. So that will be going out as soon as I'm done with this. Glad you realized that, Scott. I don't know what you're talking about, Nick. Oh, get rid of team free shit? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you know, man, it is what it is. It is what it is. Right on, man. Well, good, Dirt Road. Thanks for watching, man. It's a fun show. We have fun. Hey, Randy, what's up, man? Waffles are fantastic. I love doing waffles. And regular waffles are fantastic, too. I had IHOP this weekend. Vanilla pancakes. That's my new addiction, is food. I eat a lot. I like food a lot. Thanks, mailman. Yeah, you know, I kind of got baptized by fire doing the one-man shows. Yeah. You just have to be able to talk constantly, mailman. You just got to be able to talk. And your brain's got to be kind of sharp where you can kind of think of things to say. 'Cause you don't want dead air. That's the hard part, you know. But yeah. Like this show, I don't really do so much like kind of push the content. I kind of just let the content flow. Because I think that's more it's more of an interactive type show, where it's like the Vape at 5, I'm like constantly coming with content, constantly. Got the review tomorrow for the Wasp Nano RTA. I'm having a very nice experience with it. Just a little preview. I'm having a really, really nice user experience with it. I really am. I've been using it now for almost a week. So I'll be able to tell you guys, you know, kind of how I found to vape it that really works well for me. And I used the standard coil out of the box, which I never do, but I wanted to kind of be like, this is how you're going to vape it when you get it, and it'll vape great for you. So I did that, and it's vaping really nice. First time I ever used a regular coil. First time I ever did. Yeah. I drink and I eat. Yeah, I'm getting chicken wings after this. So if I seem like I'm in a hurry, I fucking am. Getting ready to go get some chicken wings. Hey Perry, how you doing? All right, well, we're gonna wrap it up because don't look like there's much conversation going on or wanting to talk. So after I shut this down, I will be live on the Facebook page to do the waffle for the El Thunder. That thing had been up for like 3 weeks. So we're going to close it out today. Somebody's going to win that El Thunder plus all kinds of other shit. Right after that, I'm going to put up another V4 red to black Cerakote. That's going to be it's a fucking gorgeous mod. Custom red to black finish. Absolutely gorgeous. V4 copper. So I'm putting that up, the Purge. That'll be up next. So I'll probably put that up tonight, maybe tomorrow. We'll get that one going. All right, guys. Have a fantastic night. Let's see. Today's Tuesday. Oh, Nick's on tonight. Nick's on tonight. Make sure you tune in for Nick. And I think Fresh does his show tonight. So check that out. Fresh from the Kitchen, I believe, is on at 9. Love you guys. Hope you guys have a fantastic night. I will see you tomorrow for a review on the Vapeify.
Put it on his nose.